The title of this segment is Stories That Shape Us, and I do have stories, plural. I started studying organ when I was in about 5th grade and played occasionally for services at the school that I attended, where we had an organ built by the same builder as we have here at River Road, but about maybe 35 to 40% of the size of this organ. And sometime after 8th grade, my teacher for introductory physical science, IPS, said, Mr. Ohms, said, you know, we were a bunch of 8th grade high school boys, so he wasn't treated very well in class. I'm even surprised he let us touch a test tube, rambunctious 8th graders. But anyway, he said to me after the end of my 8th grade year, you know, Bob, I am actually the pastor at a church also. And I was wondering, my wife would finally like 4 weeks off from playing the organ. Would you mind substituting there? So pretty soon I was studying my hymns and playing for Bethelship United Norwegian Methodist Church in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. Now remember, Brooklyn is a city of churches, so the Methodist Church was here on 56th Street. There were 2 Lutheran churches on 54th Street, another Lutheran church on 45th, another one on 65th, another one on 68th. The whole place was full of churches. And in some churches, actually, people spoke some of their native languages, like German or Norwegian or Swedish, where there'd be a service in their native language. So it was a small church, and this is about 1974. And if some of you remember how Protestant churches looked back then, the entire pulpit area was filled with greenery, all kinds of ferns. So those are probably days long past, but it was very special to play there. And on Father's Day, I'll thank my father for driving me over from 84th Street to 56th Street and patiently waiting for a couple of hours while I practiced and learned my hymns and my music for the service. Speaking of organs similar to River Road, that church had the exact same instrument that we have in our chapel. As I grew a little older, I joined a choir in Brooklyn Heights and took lessons with the organist there. It was at Plymouth Church. And there was something very exciting about going to a church that had a radio broadcast sermon. So they had some infrastructure. And that was also in late '74, I got to sing Messiah Part 1, Verdi Requiem, Pauline Gloria, all these great works. And the other bonus was that Dr. Harry Crooner was a nationally renowned preacher, and I got 20 to 25 minutes of really down the pike preaching every single week. And as a 9th grader, I somehow took to that. I really liked it. Another experience that shaped me was my summers at Chautauqua, upstate New York. In 1976, I had the opportunity to go there as an organ student. And but Chautauqua has a 5,000-seat amphitheater, and every Sunday morning they have guest preachers. And about 3 days before my 16th birthday, on June 27th, I sat there, and the preacher was Norman Vincent Peale. And the entire amphitheater was completely packed with people in their summer clothing. And what an exciting moment. Now, I'm not going to say that I adhere strictly to Norman Vincent Peale's message of completely positive thinking, but it certainly made a tremendous impression on me to see so many people gathered in church. Another experience that was very important to me was attending on rare occasions Riverside Church, where my own teacher, Fred Swan, was the organist. Now, at this point, I was playing at church on Sunday mornings, so I couldn't attend their morning service, so I got to any other service. And often, that would include the New Year's Eve watch night service. And I have to tell you, as you went from one year to the other and had William Sloane Coffin talking about the world and your life and how you could change things in the world based on the way you lived and the way you acted, was a big deal. And so I had those occasions to hear William Sloane Coffin preach live at the Riverside Church. I don't know if you know where I'm headed here, but notice that all these great things that I think happened in my life that shaped me happened in church. Even if the amphitheater was an amphitheater, it was church on Sunday morning. Another amazing experience was an opportunity I was given to visit. I was sent to Rome when I worked for St. Matthew's Cathedral in DC. The pastor had a bunch of us go, a couple of us go to Rome for a conference, and under the high altar, if you just go down and down and down, you reach the place where St. Peter died. Whether it's completely true or by legend, how would one know? But supposedly that's the place it happened. You could not emerge from the scavi, the excavation, without being deeply moved to think of the people in the first century who gave their lives to spread the ministry of Jesus. Another quick incident that I think has made a big difference. There's a church where I used to be where we had a freezer full of frozen food all the time. Chili, 1 week it was chili, 2 weeks later it was franks and beans or something like this. I didn't go nearly often enough, but it only took once or twice to go to the soup kitchen with that food. We'd bring the frozen bags of food over to the soup kitchen. We'd get them heated up over there. It was we were in an affluent suburb. Nobody was lining up on our streets for food. But in Norristown, up the road, there were a lot of people who lived on the street. And holding that soup ladle, putting the soup in the bowl, and sitting with some of these folks who were so hard up was a big thing. And it really made me feel that, of course, that soup also went from church to church because we served them at St. John's Church in Norristown. Just two more things that have made a big difference for me. Our children's musicals here at River Road, you get a lot of laughs out of them. You have dinner, and then so it's spiritual dinner theater. And then these children get up and basically depict the story of Elijah or Esther, or the feeding of the 5,000, or maybe we had one called Once Upon a Parable, and brought you through all of these things. I just think that watching a bunch of 1st through 5th graders get that deep into a Bible story is such an important part of building their faith, and it changes me every time. I get to the end of that musical, and I think of all those children who have experienced those stories in that way. And it's very meaningful. Something else, final thing that happened at River Road a few years ago, we had Michael Hahn here to give two talks on, summer talks on hymns. He's a noted hymnologist, retired from Southern Methodist University. To say he's noted is an understatement. He's maybe the most noted hymnologist. And he said something else that affects my thinking a lot, and I still have a lot of action to take on this. And that is, he said, the hymnal we all use in a church is often up to 30 years old. So the last thing that was written for the hymnal we use was written in about 1990, and then it went to print. So it's important for us to take the poetry of these are new prophets, the people who write these fantastic hymns. The hymn is the poem, the hymn tune is the melody. Take some of these texts that have so much meaning and have taken virtues out of the Bible and also taken a lot of what's happening in modern context. It is important for us to start to absorb those messages and to make it possible for us to sing them. We actually have taken a step to do that. We own the successor to the hymnal we use here at River Road, but we have it electronically, so we're able to place hymns in our service leaflets so that you can sing them. And of course, I beg your openness if it's a tune you haven't sung before, or if the words don't just fall out of your mouth the way they would for Our God, Our Help in Ages Past. That's a little bit of an effort we have to make to get the message that is contained in these wonderful new hymns that we have available to us. So that's my list of those are the stories that I have to tell. And I thank River Road also for its thoughtful faith that has allowed me to grow over the years also. Thank you.